Hi everyone. So yesterday I released a video about these memos that are being released by the two sides of the House Intelligence Committee. And as one eagle-eyed viewer pointed out, I missed out an important piece of information. I didn't do it on purpose. However, when I went back and looked at the video, I thought it's a fair point. I really should do another video adding this information in so there's no confusion, and that's what this video is. So this story actually all goes back to March of 2017, and that's where I'm going to start. Devin Nunes, who is the sort of House chair of the House Intelligence Committee on the Republican side, ran over to the White House with a piece of paper and gave Donald Trump some evidence which led to this tweet, the now infamous wiretapping tweet, which he accused Obama of tapping his phones. I thought it was ridiculous at the time. Everybody had a big laugh about it. We thought basically this guy is unhinged, which I still believe that. But anyway, we'll move on. About 2 weeks after that, James Clapper, who is the former director of national intelligence under Obama, he went on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, and he said this.
Let me start with the president's tweets yesterday. This idea that maybe President Obama ordered an illegal wiretap of his offices. If something like that happened, would this be something you would be aware of?
I would certainly hope so. I can say, obviously I can't speak officially anymore, but I will say that for the part of the national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign. I can't speak for other Title III authorized entities in the government or a state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this?
I would know that.
If there was a FISA court order
Yes.
on something like this?
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order?
Not to my knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
Well, that's an important revelation.
Okay, so that is misleading at best. If it was a lie, it wouldn't be the first time James Clapper has lied. We all know about that. He's done it before in front of the Senate. But I would say that's misleading because we do know that a FISA warrant was issued, and it was issued on Carter Page. And this is the piece of information that I didn't put in the video yesterday. I missed out of the video yesterday that really I should have. The FISA warrant was issued on Carter Page, as we know now, after he had left the Trump campaign. It was issued in October 2016. He'd left the campaign in September 2016. So it's important to note that piece of information because the FISA warrant actually wasn't issued on anybody within the Trump campaign that we know of. He'd left by that time. Because of Louise Mensch, however, we do know, or we certainly have an inkling that they applied for a FISA warrant while he was a member of the Trump campaign, and that was rejected by the FISA court. This is unusual because they rarely reject applications for a FISA warrant at that court. However, there were 9, I think, in 2016 rejections, and in the previous 20 or so years, I think there was only something like 11 rejections out of 30,000 applications. So that's unusual. But anyway, fast forward to February and these memos, which is what the video is about. The Republican side of the House committee, headed up by Devin Nunes, they say that the FISA warrant was issued to the FBI because of evidence that they give them from within the infamous Steele dossier. This dossier from a Steele that was salacious and alleged that Donald Trump had paid prostitutes to urinate on a bed in Russia that Obama had slept on. It's preposterous. And also the Steele dossier, as we now know, was actually funded by Fusion GPS, which was funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign. So it's quite interesting the way that is flipped from the Democrats being, yay, look at this dossier, to the Republicans now going, oh, look at this dossier, the one that you funded. So that's interesting. So who do you believe out of these Democrats and Republicans in the House Intelligence Committee? Personally, I believe neither of them. I think both of them are not telling the truth. For instance, on the Democratic side, the reason that they gave for the Republican memo not to be released was they said it was against or not in the interests of national security. And then when the memo came out, they said, oh, well, there's nothing in it. It's like, well, which one is it? Either it's not in the interests of national security or there's nothing in it. And if there's nothing in it, why have you released your own memo? It's tit for tat between them, and they're being childish. And that's basically everything that's pretty much going on with it. It's worth mentioning that Carter Page is dodgy. There's no way around that. He's been sort of on the FBI radar as possibly open to be blackmailed, that sort of thing, by foreign agents as far back as 2013. And this could possibly be one of the reasons why he had to leave the Trump campaign. We don't know. But what we do know is he's pretty dodgy. I'm surprised, actually, he hasn't been arrested or indicted over something in the last year as this has transpired, especially if he was under surveillance by the FBI for so long. So none of those people actually come out of this looking good. The FBI, the FISA court, Carter Page, Democrats in the House Intelligence Committee, and the Republicans, none of them actually come out looking good. The only person who relatively does come out of this looking good is Donald Trump, because he's sort of vindicated in his tweet. Okay, a member of his campaign weren't wiretapped, as he said. However, Carter Page was. Okay, he left the campaign by that time, but a FISA court warrant to the FBI doesn't mean they just have one person under surveillance. Any person that they speak to or have contact with is then also under surveillance, and any conversation they have with anybody else is under surveillance as well. We know this from Bill Binney and his conversations with Jimmy Dore. So that's pretty much it, as far as I can tell. There's nothing there to say that any member of the Trump team colluded with Russia. There's nothing there to say that there was Russians influencing the election in any way. And as always with this story, that is the crux of the issue. There's no evidence of any of the things that they have been saying now for 2 years without evidence. And that's what it comes down to. And this is why Russiagate is a complete nonsense. The book, by the way, Russiagate, The Establishment Lie, is out now on Amazon. There's a link down there. You can get it in paperback and for Kindle. And patrons also get it in a PDF format in the member section of the Patreon. You can just donate whatever you want, and anything I publish from now on, I'll put in there for the patrons. One thing that I do want to touch on as well is Louise Mensch, who has been mentioned in this sort of whole thing. I do find it interesting that America sort of love importing the UK's right-wing nutcases, which is what she is. She's an absolute fruitcake, as is Katie Hopkins, as is Nigel Farage, and as is Piers Morgan. You imported them all, although you did have the good sense to ship Piers Morgan back, which, yeah, thanks for that on behalf of every British person. So yeah, hopefully that clears everything up, and that makes everything more crystal. So thanks very much for watching. Until next time, take care.